Here's the humerus. And just like with the scapula, knowing what's left, what's right, what's front, what's back is going to be the difference between students that do very well on the midterm and the ones that struggle. And usually the ones that struggle, they might have studied for hours on end, but they've never actually held. All they did was look at the study guides. So holding the bone, turning them around in your hands is very important. Now, first things first, you probably notice what's top and what's bottom. So up here, where the head is, this is going to be the top, which means this is going to be down by your elbow. So superior, inferior. The thing that might be a little difficult is if you're just looking at a picture, you might not be able to determine what's front and what's back. So let's kind of look at that. If you kind of look right here, you will see two indentations. If you hold the bone in your hand and use your fingers to touch them, you'll definitely feel there are two indentations on this side. Flip it over to the back, and you'll see there's one indentation on the back. So that's how you determine if it's front or back. One indentation for the back, two indentations on the front. Now let's get to all the structures. So we kind of did the head. You have a little indentation or a bump just lateral to that. This bump is called your greater tubercle. The one right here is lesser tubercle. And it's really difficult to kind of see bumps, but there, if I put it up against the black background, you can see that's the lesser tubercle, and then right there you see another bump, greater tubercle. And in between those two tubercles is a little sulcus or groove. That's your intertubercular sulcus. You follow that sulcus down, you'll see a little bump. Can't really see it, but it's right there. That's going to be your deltoid tuberosity. And if you look closely, it's going to be that little indentation that kind of juts out right there, deltoid tuberosity. Now everything else you need to know, besides the shaft, is going to be found at the bottom, or the inferior end. Now, you have two things that connect to bone. Those are called condyles, but because these condyles look a little different and are unique, they have specific names. So let's look at these first. This one's going to be more rounded, and that's going to be your capitulum. And the capitulum is always going to be on the lateral side or the opposite side of the head. This structure right here kind of looks like a thread for string or yarn, and it's called a trochlea. And when we look at what the ulna looks like, you can see the ulna has a U shape that goes directly over this trochlea. So capitulum is lateral, trochlea is going to be medial. Then you have a condyle or an epicondyle just to the side of it called medial epicondyle and lateral epicondyle. And yes, we have to go back to these indentations again. The one just above the trochlea, that's called your coronoid fossa. I did warn you that there's a coronoid process in the elbow. This is the hole that process is going to go into. The little hole above the capitulum is a lot easier because the radius goes into that, and that's just called your radial fossa. And finally, the one on the back, your olecranon process goes into this olecranon fossa. And remember, the fossa is an indentation, the process is going to be a thing that juts out of the bone. So if you look at this again, there's not much to memorize on it, but there are very small structures, and that's why a lot of students will struggle on the humerus. Good luck.